sort of email that went, "I'm sorry if you thought I was being confrontational and blah, 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 blah."
Picture this. A smoke-filled studio. Roger Waters sits still, arms crossed, a storm brewing behind his eyes. He's not mixing tracks. He's mixing rage. 5 bands. 5 names he can't stand. Not just petty dislike. This is bone-deep disdain. Because when Roger Waters hates something, it echoes. Waters built his legacy on rebellion. His music wasn't safe, it screamed. So when he calls someone out, it means something. These are 5 bands he believes betrayed what rock was meant to be: loud, raw, and real. First, the one that's haunted his shadow for decades, U2. It started with admiration, ended in disgust. In the early 80s, U2 seemed like natural successors to Pink Floyd's Political Thunder. Big themes, bigger stages, crowds hungry for meaning. But to Waters, it was all posturing. Bono's speeches were, in his eyes, empty theatrics, sermons without sacrifice. The music, overproduced, sanitized, safe. What infuriated him most was the praise. Critics calling U2 the conscience of rock, fans comparing the Joshua Tree to The Wall. To Waters, that was blasphemy. The Wall was a guttural scream, a self-dissection from the void. The Joshua Tree? A commercial parade dressed in sincerity. He didn't see conscience. He saw ego, wrapped in designer sunglasses, flying private jets from one charity gala to another. The final straw came at a London show Waters attended out of curiosity. Midway through, after yet another Bono sermon, he stood up, shook his head, and walked out. "It's all smoke and no fire," he muttered. What began as respect had curdled into contempt. Because to Waters, rock wasn't about making you feel good about doing nothing. It was supposed to make you uncomfortable enough to act. Next, the Rolling Stones. Once rebels, now a brand. Waters admired them in the 60s. Who didn't? They had swagger, soul, danger. But over the decades, the edge dulled, the chaos faded, and the music became a rehearsed routine. The Stones, to him, stopped challenging the world and started cashing in. What once felt like raw blues turned into nostalgia wrapped in million-dollar lighting rigs and luxury merch. It wasn't personal. It was principle. They had the power to push boundaries, but sold comfort instead. Waters saw late-career Stones albums as hollow echoes of past glory. Tension spilled off stage too. At a European festival in the 90s, Waters clashed with Stones' crew over set times and sound checks. One manager allegedly dismissed him as too political. That stuck. The two camps grew cold. Invitations ignored. Remarks traded in interviews. When asked if he'd share a stage with them, Waters didn't hesitate. He didn't want to be part of a circus. He wanted a revolution. Then came the band he called a soundtrack to shopping malls. Coldplay. Too clean. Too careful. Too safe. To Waters, Coldplay represented everything rock shouldn't be. Music without danger, songs without bite. He never hid his contempt. Their pastel visuals, shimmering optimism, stadium-sized niceness, all of it made him cringe. To him, their sound was packaging, not purpose. What enraged him wasn't their popularity, it was their emptiness. Their music felt like soft lullabies during a fire, tunes made to blend into tech ads and elevators. Waters heard apathy in their anthems. They never named names, never challenged chaos. That wasn't neutrality, it was betrayal. Music, to him, should provoke, not pacify. Coldplay, he believed, offered a soundtrack for a distracted age. Pretty sounds for people too exhausted to care. He rejected not just their songs, but the silence they encouraged. Next, Muse. To Waters, they were a cautionary tale. All the tools, none of the truth. Their shows dazzled with spectacle, but it was soulless. Lyrics floated with rebellion but never committed. He accused them of mimicking Pink Floyd's grandeur without its gut. Big soundscapes, dramatic crescendos, brooding themes, but no anguish. No blood. Waters didn't want flattery. He wanted fire. At a charity gig where both were booked, Waters questioned why Muse were headlining. He didn't think they earned it. Muse's nods to Floyd felt like theft without understanding, tributes with no reverence. Waters wasn't against being admired, but imitation without insight. Unforgivable. To him, Muse symbolized a generation more interested in looking revolutionary than sounding like it. And finally, the band that turned his indifference into fury, Imagine Dragons. When asked about them, he laughed. Not kindly. Are we really calling this rock? He scoffed. To him, Imagine Dragons were fast food, mass-produced, predictable, packaged rebellion. Loud, but empty. A brand, not a band. Music designed for algorithms and halftime shows, not truth. He saw them as the embodiment of everything wrong with modern rock. Anthemic choruses with nothing to say, spectacle with no soul. It wasn't just that they lacked depth. It was that they pretended they had it. There's nothing worse, he said, than packaging noise as revolution. They didn't just disappoint him. They insulted what he believed music should be. Waters always demanded more courage, more truth, more fire. To him, music wasn't background noise. It was a weapon, a wound, a war cry. These 5 bands, in his eyes, failed not because they lacked talent, but because they played it safe. They polished their sound, softened their edge, sold rebellion as a product. That, to Waters, was the ultimate betrayal, not of genre, but of purpose. He remembers a time when lyrics got you banned, when album art sparked debates in Parliament, when rock wasn't just entertainment, it was resistance. That's what he gave the world. That's what he expects in return. Waters didn't hate for headlines. He hated because he cared, because he believed music should scream when the world whispered. That art should hit like a punch, not pat like a hand. That stages should be battlegrounds, not billboards. He didn't want fans. He wanted fighters. Soundtracks for marches, not shopping malls. Lyrics that challenged power, not flirted with popularity. And today, when he listens, he's not searching for comfort. He's listening for revolution, for truth that bites, for music that feels like setting off an alarm in a sleeping world. Most of what he hears, it's not loud enough, not in message, not in meaning, not in guts. Because to Roger Waters, if your music doesn't challenge something, it might as well say nothing at all.